Hello. For today's warm-up, we are going to look at this problem, which is very similar to the warm-up from yesterday, and really what we did yesterday or on Wednesday, first day back from on second semester. This is a slightly different problem, but it's kind of the same thing. Whoops. That's weird. One second. Start over. What the heck? Okay, for today's warm-up, we're going to look at this problem, which is exactly the same, really, as the problems we did on Wednesday, the first day back from after first semester. And you're going to need to be able to do this as we enter into Unit 3, which is about statistics. And you're also going to have to do something just like this later in class. And I need to go over like how to do it and what I expect to see if you want to receive full credit on it, since a lot of the warm-ups I received or the work I received is just not up to it. So first, read the problem, and in statistics that we're doing, usually it's really interesting stuff. So if you're just looking at the numbers, it's not very interesting. It's pretty boring, in my opinion. You might like it if just the numbers, that's okay, but usually it's interesting stuff about the world that helps you understand it better. So reading the problem. So recently some information was taken about Yelp, the app, Yelp restaurant reviews, and the weather. Yelp is an iPhone app where you can rate places like restaurants on a scale from 1 to 5, below reviews of the same restaurant on different days. And we have two variables, percent cloud cover, that's how cloudy it is, and the average Yelp rating. So at 22% cloud cover, the average rating was a 4.8. That's a pretty nice day. 5% cloud cover, average Yelp rating was a 5, which is perfect. So maybe there's a correlation between how nice a day it is and the review. So it asks us to make a scatter plot of the data. So let's do that. Scatter plot, again, is we have a x-axis, or y-axis, sorry, and an x-axis, and we put our two variables here. We have our input variables here, and our input here is going to be, it's usually the first one given. It's going to be the percent cloud cover. So to set up my axes, I need to go from 0% to 100%, because that's a sensible thing given I go from 5 to 100. And I have to say what this is. This is my percent cloud cover. If I don't label that, it's not right. Now, since I have 0 and 100, I'm going to put a 50 here. 25, 75. And now for my y-axis, that's going to be Yelp review. If this had units, I would put units, but there's no units, it's just a review. And I want to go from 0 to 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How did I go to 5? Well, these numbers are between 0 and 5, or 1 to 5. So the first data point, 22% cloud cover, 4.8 review. So I'm going to go find where is 22%. I'll make this dot in red. 22% is like right here, and at 22%, the average rate is 4.8, so that's like a dot right here. Okay. At 5%, which is about here, you can, doesn't have to be perfect. The average rating was a 5, so I'm going to put that right here. At 100% cloud cover, which is here, the average rating was 2.2. That's about here. 88% cloud cover, 2.5. So that's 75, and that's 100. 88 is going to be about here. 71%. That's 75. 71 is about here. 2.8. Almost up to 3. And at 40% cloud cover, 3.9. This is 50% here. 40% is about here. 3.9 is like there. So, looking at my scatter plot, that's done. And how am I going to score this? Are all the data points there? Are they in kind of the right place? Are there any extra dots, extra points? Are there ones that don't make sense? You don't have to label them, but each one should kind of fit with what's here. If that's not there, that's not good. Are your scales labeled? I've left off the 0 there. Do you have units here? Units here? If you don't have all these things, if you don't have everything that's here, it's not good. It's not going to receive full credit. Okay, now it has to use a calculator to make a linear regression to find the correlation coefficient. So first, just by looking at this, I can tell this looks like these kind of line up. So I know I'm going to have a correlation. So let me show you how to do this on the calculator. So you should have a calculator out now. You should follow along. I'm going to do this very slowly. Let's see. Go to my calculator. There we go. Okay, here's my TI-84. And you might have to do this. I think all the ones in the classroom are working properly though. So I'm just going to do this. But if you don't get an R value, which I will explain again, you'll have to do this. So I'm going to hit second, catalog. I have to turn on diagnostics. So I'm going to scroll down to descriptive or diagnostics on. So I'm at the C's. Diagnostic on, enter, enter. Oh, come on. There was a space in front of it. I didn't like that. Shortcut. Diagnostic on. This is going to let me see more stuff about it. So to enter in this data, I hit the stat button right here, and then again I can use the arrows over here to navigate left and right, do the edit, calc, and test menu, and I want to have this first one, edit, edit, press enter. And here I'm going to put my data in. List L1 means list 1. I put my list 1 here. That's going to be my percent cloud covers. 22, 5, 100, 88, 71, and 40. Okay. And in my list 2, that's going to be my second variable, the Yelp rating. And they should match left to right here. So at 22%, 4.8. Okay. At 5%, 5. At 100%, 2.2. At 88%, 2.5. 71%, 2.8. And at 40%, 3.9. Okay, so you should have all this data in, and looks right. 22%, 4.8. So this matches here. I'm now going to generate my linear regression. To generate the linear regression, which is the equation, the line that would go through these points on the scatter plot. And let's look at these on the calculator. So to do that, we would hit second, we want to get stat plot on. So we hit the blue button to get things that are in blue. So like this button says y equals, but above it in blue it says stat plot. So to get the blue thing, I hit the blue button first to change the function. If I wanted F1, I would hit the green button first. So I'm going to hit stat plot, and I'm going to, here it says plot 1 off. I want to turn that on. So I hit enter, and I turned it on. I have some other options here, but this is going to be fine. If I hit graph, I only see 1 point because I haven't set up my windows yet. So I'm gonna set it up so I can have this graph have the same domain and range of the scatter plot I made. So in the scatter plot I made, the x-axis went from 0% to 100%. So here I'm going to make the x min 0 and the x max 100. On the scatter plot I made here, my y-axis, or my range, went from 0 to 5. So my minimum y value I'm going to make 0, and the maximum y value I'm going to make 5. I'm going to hit graph. Now I see these points. The calculator does a better job than I did making them look good, but same kind of thing. So now I'm going to generate my correlation coefficient. I'm going to hit stat. I want to hit calc. And I want to go down to this fourth one here, linear regression. Hit enter. Hit enter. Here's my linear regression. Great. So my correlation coefficient is the R number. The R number is negative 0.99, which is almost perfect negative correlation. So negative, I'm going to state negative 0.99. Is there a correlation between how cloudy it is and average overview? What kind of correlation? Justify your answer using the correlation coefficient. Okay, so I'm going to write that here. So a correlation coefficient, again, our correlation coefficients can be between +1, which means extremely strong positive correlation. 0 would mean no correlation, means they don't affect each other at all. And -1 would be perfect negative correlation. And anything above 0.9 or close to +1 or -1 is almost perfect, which means they're very, very strongly correlated. So, a R value of negative 0.99 shows or indicates very strong negative correlation, which in the context of this problem, what that means is as it gets cloudier, the reviews will definitely go down. And there's this very strong correlation. We can't say it causes it, but it's correlated. So this justifies our answer. Although we should, I guess, say something, since it says between how cloudy is an average overview. It'd be nice to use the context in our answer, but this is fine, really. Drawing the line of best fit. Okay, so I can kind of sketch this. Line of best fit doesn't have to be perfect, but I should put my equation here. And what is my line of best fit? I have to look at the numbers here. So our equation is y equals ax plus b, but I know what a and b are, so I'm not going to just leave that the way it is. So a is negative 0.03. You only have to use like the first two digits. Negative 0.3x. Oops. And our b value is 5.2. what is the slope of the line of best fit? What does it mean? Well, the slope is our A value, or this number. So the slope is negative 0.03. And what does this mean? Well, the slope again is how for every left unit I go left or right. So if I go to the right by 1, which in this case would be 1% cloud cover, how much does the line go down? So what this is saying is that if I go up, because this is negative, if I go up by 1% cloud cover, my line will go down by 1, or my function, or my whatever you want to call it. But going down by 1, what does that mean? That means my review goes down. So what this means is for every extra percent cloud cover, reviews go down by 0.03. If it was a positive correlation going up, I would say go up by 0.03. What is the y-intercept of the line? Sixth question. What does it mean? Well, our y-intercept is our b value, 5.2. What that means is again, this is our y-axis, and I'm going to redraw this line in green, and here's our y-axis. Our y-intercept physically is where does our line of best fit hit that green line, and it's right there, and that looks like it's at about 5.2. It also is just this number, and what does that mean? It means that if we have 0%, if our input is 0, what would we expect to happen? So the y-intercept is 5.2. I'm going to abbreviate a bit here since I'm running out of room. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit, I suppose. Oops. There we go. The y-intercept is 5.2. What this means is if there were 0% cloud cover, we would expect a rating of 5.2. It doesn't matter if this is actually possible. I know the rating only goes up to 5. This is just what our trend line shows. Our trend line, or our line of best fit. So that kind of finishes this up. Again, we made a scatter plot, put the data in the calculator, hit the stat button. Stat button we're going to use a ton in the next month or two. It's going to be our most used button. Pretty much everything we do is going to be using the stat button. I'm going to try to find a good app. So I've never really used calculators for this extensively. But so maybe we'll find a good iPhone app or Android app. But for the meantime, we'll be using the stat button a lot, and we're always going to hit stat enter. Possible issues you might have if this doesn't say L1 or L2 up here, it says something else. That's something we need to fix. And under stat again, we can do all these different regressions. We'll be using some of these other ones later, but for now we'll always be using the fourth one down. And you can our A value, that's our slope. B value, y-intercept. R value is correlation coefficient. This R2 value is R squared. It's just this R number squared. And what it tells us is kind of how well does the line fit our data. And because it's squared, it means it's never going to be negative or positive. So it's not concerned with positive or negative correlation. Okay. So look at your warm-up that I handed back, and does this. If you don't have all this stuff, you need to start raising the bar.